Hi, welcome to day 4 of Herb by Card, using the Herb Crafter's Tarot as a reference guide. So, let's dive in to the rose just as soon as a four-wheeler goes by in the background. So let's see. Oh, that's upside down. That's not going to work. So let's see what it has to say in the book. And then we'll dive into some interesting facts about roses. The Empress rose, Rosa species. Be vulnerable yet strong. Nurture love and compassion. See beauty and abundance in every stage of life. A honey-colored work table is covered in wild roses. Fall leaves are arranged in a crown. The seeds of fat, juicy rose hips spill out next to pink-hearted shaped petals. Buds and flowers lie on a honeycomb. Red chilies from a triskel pointing to a flaming heart. A stone bead of the woman of Wildendorf, a representation of the Great Mother, is strung on a rosary. Healing the heart heals the world. Learn to be vulnerable yet strong, like the delicate petals of the rose protected by thorns. Rose uplifts the spirit and inspire love. Embody sensuality in a bold, vibrant ways. Let creativity and abundance flourish around and within you. Wild roses are prolific, creating food, medicine, and shelter for all who encounter them. As of all parts of the rose contain medicine, every stage of your life finds passionate expression. Create, make love, play. It is a fertile, genuine time. Okay. Arrange rose thorns and petals together on your altar to cultivate vulnerability and strength. Create a rosary out of rose buds, rose hips, or dried rose petals, beads for love and compassion. Celebrate the many stages of life by learning the remedies for each season of the rose. Rosebuds for childhood, full blooms for midlife, and hips for elderhood. Now, I wouldn't agree that every part of the rose can be used. Well, the rose itself, but the plant, I've never heard of the root of the rose being used. I've never heard of thorns being used. But rose petals are renowned the world over for their uses. And so isn't the rose in love was connected with love. And the rose hips are packed full of vitamin C. Gram for gram, they have more vitamin C than citrus. They are jam-packed. So for today's books, we have Botany in a Day by Thomas J. Elps. This is the 4th edition, but they now have a 5th or 6th edition, which is also colored. This is an older edition. I got over like 20 years ago. Plus, a second book of the day. This is an advanced book. This is an herbalist by Evolutionary Herbalisms. It's fairly new by Saja Pompon. I don't recommend this for a beginner, but I was looking through it today and I happened to come across page 349 about rose species. So isn't that interesting? So that means I got to read that. But before we go to that, we'll get into a little botany, because if you're really serious about being an herbalist, you need to know botany. So the rose family has basically one of its own family. It's called the Rosaceae family. It's a flowering plant division, class, rose, subclass, rose order. And that's something I can go into about into on Patreon is about families and stuff, which I think I will start to do. If you have ever stuck your nose into an apple, a rose, a strawberry, or cherry blossom, you know the rose family. Yes. One thing that helps these flowers stand out is that they have 5 petals. And if you cut open the inside of an apple, what do you get? Crosswise, when you cut an apple open, you get the 5-pointed star. This is all associated with roses. The flowers have a minimum of 5 sepals and 5 petals, and this is getting into botany. And they have 5 stamens, which is part of the flower's sexual organs. And yes, flowers have sexual organs. In most cases, you can recognize the rose family based solely on the sepals, petals, and stamen. Domesticated roses have additional petals that were bred from the stamens. So that's why your garden variety roses have more petals. But your main roses, your wild flora rose, your strawberries, your apple blossoms, your cherry blossoms, they all have 5 petals. The fruits of the rose family are edible, but somewhat laxative, like the apples. And it has presence of tannic acid, which is strongest in the roots or the bark or the stems. So yes, you could use the roots, of course, Heidi. But it's not a common practice. Most people go after the rose petals. That's the common practice. Also, the fruits of the plum. Plum is part of the apple family. So the rose is really a big family, and it's easily recognizable, and more plants are related to the rose family than you realize. So that's what I want you to take away from that. And every time I do this, the tablet dings, and it won't ding for hours, but every time I do a video, it dings. Other parts of the rose family include mountain mahogany, strawberry, quinquefoil. Of course, I already spoke about the rubus family, which is the raspberry, blackberry, salmonberry, and thimbleberry. So, and they're very astringent and tonifying. And these are some terms that you really need to be aware of. And astringent, diuretic, these are all terms of how the plant affects the body. And there's a whole gamut of things that you can get into to really understand plants. So this is really just an opening introduction. So, okay, let me read to you from Sage of Poppin', because this is really cool. But it will also bring home to you why this book, I think, is for advanced practitioners, herbal practitioners. But we will read from it. I'm going to put the card down now because it will be a lot easier for me. As a universal symbol for love, no plant relates to Venus more strongly than the rose. We see her signatures in the velvetly smooth, delicate texture of the petals, their sweet, aromatic perfume, and their beautiful unfolding. And I'm going to pause here in the reading. I should have looked it up, but to bring this home, it takes a copious amount, extremely large amount of rose petals to make 1 drop of rose essential oil. And that's why it is terribly expensive, because it takes so much and so many roses. I think it's like 30,000 petals to make just 1 gram or something like that of essential rose oil. And throughout this series, I'm going to touch on that, on the overuse of essential oils, in the ingestion of essential oils, which are actually first used for aromatherapy. They should never be ingested. The multi-level marketing corporations have pushed the use of essential oils that it is harming the environment because of the copious amount of plant materials that it takes to make essential oils. Some plants, you don't need as much. Granted, like peppermint, you don't need as much to make an essential oil. Roses is on the high end. Lemon balm is on the high end. Take into consideration how much water, how much resources it takes to grow all these herbs to turn them into an essential oil. That is something I want you to be extremely aware of. I'm not saying that you shouldn't use them, but you should be totally aware of the process and the copious amounts of material that it takes just to extract a chemical from the plant, because that's what an essential oil is a chemical. So back off my spiel for a second, but it's just not my spiel. This is the truth, and you all need to be aware of that so that you can make informed decisions. So wild roses often prefer to grow in open spaces and communal patches in relationship with one another. But she is not all soft, as the intense thorns display the opposite qualities of Mars, or the fire element. Interestingly enough, both the petals and the fruit sedate excess heat and inflammation in the blood and vasculature of an instance of Venus treating Mars. Medically, rose petals are astringent for relaxed tissues, especially for the veins and female reproductive system, tightening and tonifying tissues that are loose and lackadaisical, an indication of excess Venus. She is also used to topically tighten the skin and reduce inflammation, and that is why she is in many beauty products and skin conditions. Rose hips are quite high in vitamin C, which strengthens capillary beds and provides oxidative protection. These properties all point to rose as an antipathetic remedy to balance the heat on Mars, or as a sympathetic remedy to treat Venusian relaxation. Psychologically and spiritually, rose powerfully influences the emotion and spiritual heart. She has a physiological affinity for the heart proper, nutrient and strengthening the heart and vascular, as well as a gentle neuromind, quickly to settle a nervous heart, yet on a deeper level, she heals the emotions and spiritual heart. This is especially true in relationships. So that I must end because I'm only allowed 15 minutes on this to upload. So that's just the beginning of Rose. There's so much I could go into. So many blessings, and remember to be wild.